Hi, and welcome to another edition of Race Reviews with Billy and Sam. This is the Challenge Lisboa edition. Could be Lisboa, could be Lisbon, could be, we don't know, but it's in Portugal. So
it's in the city of Lisbon, Portugal, if you're from the United States.
If you're from Portugal, it's Lisboa.
I think you're correct.
So, I think we dig right into this thing. This is the final edition of Challenge Lisboa.
Right, so the race has been going on for, 16 years? And the last 4 have been challenge. So I guess it was a licensed challenge race. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
And they're going back to Triton. I don't know if they were Triton before, but it's the same people. They're going to keep putting the race on. It's just not going to be a challenge.
Yes, not challenge branded race. So the last of anything shows.
Yeah.
Well, do you just want to dig into it at the beginning, or just kind of as we go along? I feel like I'm about to beat this race up. Let me just put that there.
So this is the deal. The guy that organizes the race usually gets a lot of support from the government, and this year he did not because there's a number of Ukrainian refugees in Lisbon, and so the government's dealing with that. I think there was probably plenty of police presence. Don't you agree?
There was no issue with that.
I think it was just the setup, like the village. I mean, he had the bike thing. He had somebody with the shoes. The swag is really just the main thing, right? I mean, the whole thing was just. He looked tired, and maybe he gets a lot more volunteer help or a lot more other help from the guy. I don't know, but he was tired.
He's really trying. This was a challenge race, and so my expectations into this were probably unreasonably high, but certainly high. Challenge puts out a great product. We have never had an issue with Challenge, and we've been pleasantly surprised at every challenge race we've ever done.
Stop. Challenge Ricone or whatever just the week before.
Yeah, we didn't do that race.
Changed their bike course. You say we'd have a problem with Challenge?
We've never had a problem with the challenge race we've done.
Okay.
Yes. So
I got you.
We've
had problems with challenge races.
When we go to challenge races, they literally roll out the red carpet, and he did have blue carpet here. So
he did.
I don't think that our expectations were unreasonable. My expectations were unreasonable. But let's just go ahead and go from check-in all the way through.
Okay, so check-in, what you did was you went and you found your race number, and then you went and you told them your race number, and they picked out your packet, checked your ID. I mean, it was just pretty standard, but it was just under a 10 by 10 tent, like temporary tent.
Mm-hmm.
You had to purchase your...
Yeah, I was gonna show off my race band for this one. I don't typically try to wear competitor stuff, but this one was actually spiteful. They wanted you to pay for the band.
I had to pay for it. $5.
And it was €5.
Yeah.
This thing isn't $5 ever, anywhere, but it's free. It comes with the dang race. We paid for a challenge race. It's not like we got a discount to go here. This was not an off-brand race where, hey, look, man, you're paying $60, $70 for a half. I wouldn't expect even probably Powerade out on the course, right? When you're buying the discount courses, you expect a discount model. When you're buying a challenge race, you do not expect to pay for the strap that holds the timing chip. So we're going to start there and got off on the old wrong foot. It did not go uphill.
Yeah, I mean, the week before was an independent race where we had to rent the timing chip. We had never had to do that before. It was like $2 or something. But we had done that, and you knew that in the beginning when you signed up. You didn't know that you were going to buy.
And when you rented it for the €2, you had the option of bringing your own timing chip, so you could have saved €2. But when we rented it, it came with, and you'll like this, a strap to hold it on.
But you gave the strap back. You were renting the strap too, weren't you?
I guess we're renting the whole thing, but...
So this race had 1,400 people in it? I mean, I saw 12.
Yeah, there were at
13.
least 1,200 whatever racers, and then they had like a corporate challenge or relay or something for at least an additional 100, possibly 200 racers. So yeah, this is for Europe. That's a big race.
Sure.
So right, that's everybody's there paying €200 or so ahead. They've got some cash to play with.
All right, so the swag we get. What'd you get in check-in?
Oh yeah, let me show you the backpack.
Well, I'll give you the swag that you get.
Yeah.
Was there any other swag?
That was it, actually. You did get, there was a bib, and we didn't have to rent the bracelet that got us into the tent.
Regular bracelet.
Dude, no backpack, no hat. I don't even know what to say.
We were disappointed.
I was beyond disappointed. I was angry with the race. I don't need a backpack, but I need you to care. And
people come back for stuff like that. I mean, and it's advertising for you. I mean, I get that he was thinking, hey, it's the last year of challenge. I'm not giving out challenge backpacks because I mean that's what it would say is challenge backpack on it. So I'm not going to continue to advertise for challenge. So I'm just not going to give out anything. Well, I mean that's a problem.
Yeah, no, dude. This, I mean,
I might have learned about the race because it was on the challenge website or because it was a challenge type race. But the reason that I come back to a race is because I felt like it was a good value.
Yes. So,
all right. So that was check-in. I mean, that's pretty much it. The transition. He's got an excellent spot for transition. It's almost all shaded because it's all up under this like giant overhang. I mean, 1,400 people under a giant overhang. They did do the carpet throughout transition.
Totally carpeted transition. I mean,
this was the second race. We had the baskets.
Transition. Yeah, they had baskets here too, which I really like.
What the basket is basically you get
it's a laundry basket.
You go into transition. It's a small laundry basket. That's where your stuff goes. So everybody has the exact same amount of space because that's where your stuff goes.
And you can perfectly tie the distance between the bikes because everybody's got the exact same.
Right.
It's really great. I love that system. I hope that we implement it in the States. I'd love to see more races take that on. It reminds me of the Alpha Win with your little box. So that was built into their thing. That's a great system. So that part, kudos on that. We like that a lot. And yes, they had carpet taped down. Coming
all the way into the water.
Yeah, out of the water, you were on carpet. So
that takes us to the course. It was a really compact. I'm gonna call it a compact course. But tell us about the swim.
So the swim was awful. Let me just. Anytime you have a turn, you have a place where people can get bunched up. And so what they did to solve that problem was send bunches of people off in waves where they could all get bunched up together again. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 turns in this thing. It looked like a pinball course. I was not excited about the swim from the very beginning, but they didn't have a giant area to play with. So this is I don't really know what to call it. I have no idea what to call that area.
I'm gonna call it a bay or a boat basin. Really, it's
but
kind of
couldn't
protected.
Get a boat in there, so yeah, it's definitely protected.
The rowboats because that's what was in that shed. It was like the big long rowboats that you would race with.
Yeah, but you couldn't race in this thing, and the bridges were low. It's a kind of weird area, but it's protected and it's salt.
So you get the benefit of salt water
without the ocean wave problem. I talked to another racer who said they used to do 2 loops, and he said he liked that better. I think I would have liked that better. That's still 8 turns, so I'm not certain that solves your problem either.
Yeah, I mean, with the 2 loops, you end up with the fast people swimming over the slow people. I don't like. I mean, we've gotten spoiled on the rolling start, and I mean, probably a rolling start would have fixed this whole thing. Right?
Yes, it absolutely would.
So there were 3 waves. You had the fast wave, you had Sam's wave, and then after Sam's wave, you had my wave. and my wave was all the slow people.
Except that I got passed by purple people in there.
I was at the back
not
of
you,
back of
but
the purple
people with purple. Yeah, so either I was slow or
I mean,
I
do not like U-turns on a swim, and that's what this was. It was like a zigzag. I mean, it was. There were a lot of turns, but I'm looking at my Garmin, and I actually swam pretty straight. I actually stuck to the course, which is not. I mean, that Ironman M that Ironman does in Haines City, I hate that swim. But I don't know. I might, since I'm in the back and I don't like to get swam over, I might like the zigzag better than 2 loops. Because with 2 loops, I would
definitely get swam over.
But if they could fix that with a rolling start.
Yeah, so Challenge has not figured out the rolling start yet. They're one of very few. This was an in-water mass start, but in groups. They're one of the few triathlons that aren't very local, small, that have not switched over to that, and I'd like to see that happen. That's consistent with every challenge race we've done. The clash races in the States, they have
the rolling
start.
So I mean, since they didn't do the rolling start, that requires a timing mat at the swim. So basically, it just clocks everybody going in. They didn't have a mat there. They didn't have a mat anywhere on the bike except the end.
I feel like we should,
and they didn't have a mat anywhere on the run except the end. So whoever the timing company was, whether it was these guys or a lot of times they contract out to a timing company, they had like 3 mats, right? I mean, you went in and you went,
transition in, transition out, and the finish line.
That's it. 3 mats, which. Since it's such a compact course, the spectators could see you anyway, but if you had family or somebody tracking you, they couldn't track you. I mean, it was either you were out of the swim, you were on the bike, or you were on the run, and they had no idea when you were going to finish. So anyway, that's the swim. You come up when you exit the swim. You come up this ramp and you go into transition. The ramp was carpeted, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And they were handing out bottles of water at transition. Yeah. You could swig or dump it on top of you, whatever you wanted to do with it.
I hit an undersea obstruction with my foot and feel like I have hurt my toe in some respect. So please be careful when you're getting off of this ramp in the future. That they may or may not have actually cleared what you can't see under the dang water.
I'm sensing a vibe here, man.
This race is not getting a high score. I can go ahead and tell you now.
All right, so you get out of transition and onto the bike. It was a 4, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4 bike loop course. On what the race director said was be careful on these roads. My expectations of the roads were a lot lower, which means I did hit some bumps. There were some potholes, and they weren't the worst roads ever.
Yeah, he had certainly downplayed. Hey, man, these are some bad roads, and for Europe, I will give bad roads.
Sure. For Texas, they were good roads.
For Texas, for Louisiana, Texas, they're amazing roads. So yeah, if I'm going off of a European standards, then they would be subpar. They were probably, I'm going to put them in the not as good as Georgia, Florida. Certainly better than Napa. So medium, average US.
There's some times where you had to look and see where you were going. You hit some bumps.
Yeah.
But as 4-loop course, you kind of figured it out. The first one, what to avoid. If you didn't avoid it the second time, well, that's kind of on you.
Yeah.
They
had marked the bad spots reasonably well. So.
It was what did we decide? Like 1,800 feet of gain, 1,700 feet of gain. It was something.
It was fairly substantial. The way that I read the material was that basically we were mostly flat until we hit that last hill, and then did the hill, and then came down the hill. And that's not really the case.
Yeah, it's more rolling.
It's actually pretty rolling. We had a little headwind out, so we had tailwind back. But yeah, be prepared for rolling. That wasn't awful. But yeah, in my mind, this was going to be, I mean, in the United States, when you have a beach, it's flat. In Europe, when you have a beach, that doesn't mean the same thing. The rocky coastline, it changes it up. So just be aware of that.
It was on at least 4 lane, maybe even larger than that, like divided interstate or whatever. Closed
the entire interstate for us. That part was great. Yep. No issues.
The halfway point of the 4 laps, so you did it 4 times, was probably a 2K climb. So a little over a mile climb, and then you turned around and you came back down that mile. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
I mean, for me on the bike, minimum 5 mile segment 15.00 minutes, maximum 17.00 minutes. Hit the 15 once and hit the 17 twice. So it's a pretty even. I mean, even though there are that 1 mile up, you get the 1 mile back down. It's a pretty even course, I would say, over the whole thing. Not flat, but you don't have like a big climb section and then a big downhill section. Those kinds of things.
It has to be pretty even because you do the exact same thing 4 times. You're in some of what this was for me was being able to see a new city, and what we got to see was the exact same highway 4 times. And they closed the interstate for us, so I have that side of it too, which is absolutely incredible. We would not have done the same thing in the States. But you bring these races to show off your city, and you had us just go around the airport like, hey, dog, why don't we just run up and down the runway a few times? It feels lazy. It was really actually what that. There was no creativity there. It was just.
Is that the normal course for this, or did they have to change it for any reason? Do you know?
I couldn't speak to it, but this was not impressive. The area that we stayed in, the area that the race is in, was, I think, a World's Fair in 98, Expo 98. And super cool, great area. This is a fantastic place for transition. I would not ask them to move it. And I get that if you have to do the swim
in that little
because of that location, then you've got that. But, the bike is your opportunity to go show off the city. Or go show off something, and they just didn't do it. So, once again, I don't know how much of this is just hating on the race, and so I just now hate everything about the race, but that's the first time we've had 4 loops on a bike course. That felt like you could do something else there. It's just other than, it just sends you up the hill and sends you back down.
All right, so the aid stations, it was at the end of every lap. So when you started the second lap, started the third lap, started the fourth. So that was actually pretty even, 14, 28, and then 42. Yeah. That was where, and it was the one aid station, and you just hit it. This had to be a profitable race for them. Because they didn't spend a lot of money on anything.
No, this felt a lot like Bear Lake, Idaho, with the dudes just out there to make a buck. That's what it really felt like to me, and that's why I think I'm upset.
Okay, so you get off the bike, you're back in that same transition. You come out of the bike onto the run. It is a 4-loop run course.
The same brilliant minds that brought you the 4-loop bike course sat down, put their heads together, came up with another 4-loop run course. And they did such a magnificent job knowing that you're going to have 1,300 to 1,400 athletes in an area that they made it nice and
so the exit was actually really tight. And it was the exit and finish line. So you come out of transition, you kind of come around where the finish line is, and you start on basically your loops. And it was really one person out, one person in. It was pretty tight right there. So that should have been wider for sure.
Then they
But I mean, by the time we finished, it had cleared out.
Yeah,
it was the first two loops crowded.
They solved the problem for us, just whatever, the people at the back. But then you pass by the fire truck, so they know it's going to be a hot day. I would give it maybe some minor shade. Like there was a few places where you were in shade.
Not for long stretches.
Not for long stretches, and they were not big. They were not close together. So I wouldn't call this a shady course, but I want to be fair and say you're not out in the sun the whole time. But they knew it was going to be a hot day, so they had the fire truck out there with the fire hose spraying over the entire course, which is super awesome if you want to get sprayed. If you do not, that was not an option because I tried. I had 4 chances at it. 8.
You had 8 chances at it.
I could not find a spot that I could not get soaking wet.
I mean, I knew I was going to get sprayed, so I just tried to find the spot on the ground that I could not get my shoes soaking wet.
That's really what I was going for. Was I don't like getting my shoes wet, and that was just going to happen. So I appreciate the thought process of, hey, let's see if we can cool them down this way. I just wish that you would have given me a lane of, hey man, if you're not really feeling this, here's an option. But you went, so you go out. We thought we had run it the day before on the boardwalk against the ocean, and I actually liked the course that we had better because you got onto that dirt road, right? So this course, you were on a dirt path for, I mean, maybe what, 3/4 of a mile or so.
Ended up being like half the course.
Yeah, so then when you came back around, you hit the other side of it. And so then you're dirty and you're wet from the fire hose, and so you're just grimy. Drives me nuts. Versus the ocean we'd done the day before, you were on a boardwalk with a little bit of bounce in it, and it had a great turnaround. I like that so much more. I don't understand why they didn't use that since they had it, but whatever.
Maybe they couldn't close it. That they did run you up and down past a bunch of restaurants, and that could have been cool. The crowd wasn't really into it. I mean, I did get some cheers along the way, and I mean, for spectators, I mean, it has to be probably the best course ever for spectators because they can, on the bike course, they can sit in one spot and see you 5 times. On the run course, they can sit in one spot and see you 8 times.
Yeah.
So, for spectators, it's probably a really great course, but for racers, it was just kind of monotonous. I mean, I don't really have anything to add. You do on the run course, you run up under this beautiful bridge.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And you get to do that 8 times.
That's cool.
Yeah, about the 5th or 6th time, you're not even paying attention to what you're running under. You're just like, how much further do I have to go? Come into the finish line.
So you cross the finish line. And they gave us these T-shirts, and this feels like a good representation of the amount of effort that went into the race. It's a technical T-shirt, and it says challenge on it, and I don't even think it says the date. No date. So yeah.
Anything on the back?
No. There's
something on the sleeve.
Something on the sleeve, but
this is whoever paid for the T-shirt.
This is the amount of effort that went in the whole race. Like, technically, we did everything we were supposed to do, but not 1 ounce more of...
The medal does have 2022 finisher on it. So, anyway, regular medal.
Yeah, thin ribbon, small medal.
I mean, that's not the worst medal we've ever gotten.
True, but I challenge. I am rating this against other challenge races. If you are taking on the name, then...
Okay, after the race...
You got the 2 pieces of pizza.
Yeah, they had
a beer if you wanted that.
Yeah, and it looked like they were paying for each person because she put tickets in for each.
Yeah, you could only get 1 beer, so that was your ticket for your beer.
Oh, is that what it was? I didn't get a beer.
Yeah, they were just so very generous. Oh.
Okay, whatever. We were in a super big hurry to get out of there, so we grabbed our pizza and headed to transition and take apart our bikes.
There's the tent, and I think they had some more food maybe in the tent. there was a tent that could go into, and we did not look at. There could have been more, but we were on a hurry to get out.
All right, so give me a rating on this race. Is this going to be your lowest rated race ever?
This is the lowest rated race. Now, let me qualify. I'm expecting a challenge level race. So
You pay challenge level money, you want a challenge level race.
So I'm giving it a 1. This is the lowest rank I could possibly give a race. I would not do this race again if they paid me. That's how.
So you do not recommend it for people. I want to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. And this is not the worst race we've done by far.
No,
I mean that Bear Lake race with that was awful.
Terribly executed.
The course, I'm not a fan of the course. But maybe I don't know who likes doing 4 loops of anything, but maybe there's some people that do. I mean, I guess for spectators,
your opportunity to see how far behind the leader you are. Or, if you're talented, I could get that argument.
Those are the people that are in the cyclodrome or whatever that like. Anyway, whatever. All right. So if 4 is average, there's no way this race gets a 4. I mean, for the swag, it gets like a 0 because I mean you had to have done better. I'll give it a 3. I don't know if I've even rated a race as low as a 3, but 2.5 maybe 2.5.
Hey man,
but we're not recommending the race.
These races are scores are absolutely pulled out of thin air and don't mean anything anyway. But let me go on to with a local race, when they don't have timing mats or whatever further out, I don't really care, right? If you cheat, the only person benefiting is yourself. You're cheating yourself.
Yes.
With a challenge race, there is the opportunity to earn a spot for the championship. So if you cheat, you could get into the championship. I could have absolutely cheated myself into the championship on this race.
Yeah, you could have done 3. You could have done 2 loops on the bike.
2 loops on the bike and 2 loops on the run. And
2 easy loops of just kind of cruising or whatever.
And looked like a star and gotten in the top 10. So probably not pushed it for the top 3. But
the way the swim course looked, it looked like you possibly could cheat on the swim course. But I don't think that you could have the way that the way they had the people out there. But still, yeah, you definitely could have.
So my issue is you have, and you'll like this, 4 loops. You're going to cross the exact same spot 4 times. All you had to do was add 2 timing mats. Count them, 2. I could have picked up 8 more data points with 2 more timing mats.
Yeah.
I mean,
it should have been at the end. I mean, they do that. Pretty much every race does that. They take the timing mat, put it out at the furthest point to make sure that you actually went to the furthest point. And came back.
So I mean, clearly I'm grumpy about this race. I don't like it. I'm not recommending it. So take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt because I really liked Lisbon. I will go back to Lisbon. It was a beautiful city, and the race shouldn't.
I mean, they've done this race for 16 years. There had to have been something about this particular year that was just off. Because if they've done it for 16 years, then people keep coming. And there were 1,400 people in this race. People keep coming back. People don't come back to races they don't like. So, I don't know. Look at the course next year. Maybe it'll be better. Maybe they'll spend some extra money that they don't have to send challenge for licensing the race.
Maybe they can actually buy racers the stuff. So, thanks so much for watching. I'm sorry this was a downer video with lots of sniping, but... stay tuned for the Azores.
Somebody's grumpy. We're gonna get him some cookies. The next video will be better.
The next video will be better. So thanks so much for watching, guys.